Hello again, welcome. We are on our second event for the day. This event is called the Best and Worst Ways to Light Your Food. Thank you for joining me. We had a great morning this morning on the 4 decades of food photography in 3 pictures. And thank you so much for all those people who have donated already. That's so nice of you. Thank you very much. This is a fundraising event. I'm raising funds for the Trussell Trust Food Banks UK, charity that runs and supports food banks across the whole of the UK. So please feel free, if you're able to make any sort of donation there. The Just Giving page is on my YouTube page, and also you can find the link on my normal teaching page, which is foodphotographytraining.com. That's all one word. foodphotographytraining.com. Thank you so much. So this session, our last session for today, is called the 3 best and the 3 worst ways to light your food. And again, like this morning, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, a personal take on different ways of lighting your food. Things that I've learned and experienced over the many years that I've been taking food photographs. Hopefully it will teach you a lot about the best way to light your food and the ways that you can use different lighting techniques to get different effects and styles. Lighting is so important for food, and it can really make or break a picture. So hopefully with this session, if you're just beginning at home or you're just beginning to work with food, or you've been lighting for a little while, hopefully these little techniques might help you in your projects. So let's have a look at some of the worst ways to light your food first. Now you'll notice it's a little bit bright, and I think the first worst way of lighting your food is to use too many lights. You can see that I've got all these lights on at the moment. I've got the interior lights and I've got these studio lights. There's just lights everywhere. And this can often happen, especially if you're working at home, in a room or in your kitchen. You have the interior lights on and you see all the other lights as well. There's just too many lights. It's lights everywhere. So first of all, this is probably the worst way, the first worst way to photograph your food. And I'm going to take a picture, and then my daughter Rosie, who again thankfully is helping me on the keyboard behind the scenes, will pick up the first picture and you can have a look at this first worst way of doing it. The food, forgot to mention, I've been cooking as well during the lunch break, and I've created a bulgur wheat couscous salad. I've roasted off some fennel and some tomatoes. I've cooked it myself, so I can't completely guarantee the quality of the food styling, but it's not too bad. And so this is what we're using. We're using the same recipe in those different lighting ways to really get a good feel about how different lighting can change the look of your food. So I'll just set up and we will take this first shot. Okay, here we go. Perfect. So this is the first worst way of doing it. If you could throw up the picture of that first picture. This is with all the lights. You can see all the lights there. It's bright and shiny and there's highlights coming in from all directions. And often you can see that if you have a food with any sauces or it's oily or watery, you've got all these little highlights. You can see it in the tomatoes and it's just everywhere. It just has hardly any sort of feel to it. So let's go back and we will reduce the amount of lights we need. Well, first of all, we're going to turn off these top living room lights. And straight away that helps. So we're getting rid of those different colours. So we're reducing the different colour balances that are around. So now we are just concentrating on this one colour temperature light. So I'm just going to turn this one off. Now we're going to have a look at what I call the second worst way of lighting for food, which is just using this raw bulb. It's a raw light. It's just the naked light bulb coming straight onto the food. So it's just one light coming straight at. So again, I'm just going to frame up, take the picture. And again, thank you, Rosie. Just throw up the second worst way. It's not bad. I mean, it's slightly improving on what you can see, but the shadows are hard. It's very harsh. The fennel and the food arrangement is really blowing out is the right word. It's really working very bright in those very highlighted areas. It doesn't work too well. It's not great. So that's the second worst way of lighting your food. Now we're going to go on to the last worst way. So I'm just going to bring this round. And here we go. This is the way that a lot of people do in error, really. And I call this way where the light is front of camera. It's just straight onto the food. And this can happen quite easily, whether you're using the camera flash or you're using a light straight from the camera. But also can happen, I've noticed, is when you're shooting in daylight, the daylight you stand behind with the window behind you, thinking that as much light is falling onto the plate as possible. This is quite a harsh front light. It's not very nice. It's not very nice at all. I'll take a picture and you can see how this looks. So I'll just frame up. Here we go. Got it. So, Rosie, if you could throw up that last front light. It's not very nice at all. It's quite ugly. You can see that there is hardly any detail as the light's coming straight onto the food. It's losing all detail, and to be honest, it's not very nice at all. It's interesting how this front light you can use really successfully if you are working with portraiture and you are photographing a person's face. It can be quite complementary, and it can reduce any wrinkles that somebody, especially somebody like me, has, and it can actually help to create a nice image. But when you're photographing food, you really want to try and accentuate those wrinkles and textures. So you really want to try and avoid this front light. Okay, so we're going to switch this off, going to move this out the way. Now we're going to move round into the, there we go, some of the nicer ways to light your food. Let's go for the 3 best ways to light your food. So straight away, you can see that I've put on a diffusing screen onto this light. It's called a softbox or a diffusing screen, and it creates a lovely glow, a really soft light falling onto any food. This is in position of a side light, so it's coming at 90 degrees to the camera. And this type of light works really well with what I call solid things, cakes, a pile of cookies, pies, things that are quite solid and are usually baking items. This side light works really well. I like the size of this screen. It's about 70 centimeters to about 1 meter square, and it really works well. I think it's a good versatile size. You can get smaller ones, but just bear in mind that if the screen is smaller, you need to bring the light closer to your food. So let's take a quick shot of this picture using the best way, number 1. Here we go. How does that look? Here we go, diffused side light. Well, it's really lovely. It just looks really soft. The shadows are soft. It has mood, so you can see the shading. You can see that it's really bringing up the colors of the food, but it's not blowing out the highlights. It's not too harsh. Works really well. I think it's a really lovely light. It's often my go-to light, I have to say. It's lovely. Okay, so that's the best way, number 1. Let's go for the best way, number 2. Let's bring this light round. So as you see, it's all about angles and directions. Bringing that one like that. So what I've done now is I've taken the light round the back of the set, not too far. It's not completely opposite the camera. I call it sort of 3/4 angle. And it really does a couple of good things. If you have a recipe that has a combination of like carbohydrates and salads, which often happens, you want to really get the texture of the carbohydrates, the proteins, but you really want to try and get some light going through the lighter translucent ingredients to the recipe. This does both. I'll take a quick shot. You can have a look at how it works. Again, I'll just play this one on here. Here we go. And there we go. So let's see how that looks. This is the best way to light your food, number 2. So this is a 3/4 backlight, and you know, it looks really nice. You get some lovely shine on the background, some lovely light coming through that olive oil, absolutely lovely. But you also get that texture and that shape still coming round on the fennel and the tomatoes and the cucumber. Often this is the light that I like using the most. It gives it a lovely relaxed feel. It works really well. Yeah, that's good. So that's the best way of lighting your food, number 2. Let's try number 3. Now, my third and last lighting position that I absolutely love is completely behind the food, opposite the camera. so it's a backlight. Now, if I was to do that now, you would disappear. I would cover the camera. So I'm going to do another way. I'm going to move the set, which is a bit complicated. I'm just going to move this around here. And I find that if you're shooting in daylight, you can't move the window. That's impossible. But if you decide that you wanted to create a backlight and use this lighting effect, then when you're happy with your food arrangement, turn the set. Move your camera, turn the set to the position of the window. So I'll just bring the light round. Here we go. So now we have the light is opposite the camera, so we have a backlight. It's really lovely. Let me take a quick shot. Right, here we go. Here we go. So this is our best light option number 3. Let's have a quick look. It can be pretty scary, I have to say, because it's full on, full highlights. The light is just coming right at you. It can work really well. The things to be aware of are that you have highlights everywhere. So the plate, the cutlery, any oils are just shining out 100%, which is lovely. But if you have difficult sauces or difficult oils or a smeary plate, it can show those up too. So you just have to take a little bit of time in getting the food looking just right and just removing any oils or smearies that might actually make it look a little bit detrimental to the overall picture. But if you're happy with that, I think the backlight approach can really work well. It gives it quite sort of an aspirational morning light. It looks absolutely lovely. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. So there we have it. We have the 3 worst lights and the 3 best lights. Let's go through them one more if we can, maybe just in reverse order if you can, or in any order you like, Rosie. Just throw them up and I'll just go review what we see. So what do we get first? We've got all the lights. Too many lights from all directions, different color temperatures, highlights everywhere. Just turn off those lights. Okay, so let's turn off some lights. Now we just have the one light, but it is raw. It's not diffused, it's just a naked bulb. Harsh shadows, harsh highlights. It could even be, for example, a strong sunlight. Try and avoid it. Then we have the front light. Avoid it at all times. Looks great for portraits, but for food, it's a disaster. Don't go there. Then we go on to some of our best side lights, lights to use for food. The diffused side light, a good all-round light, especially for cakes, baked items, cookeries, really nice. 3/4 back, adding a little bit of mood and light to your picture. You get the best of both worlds. You get that lovely side light and you get those lovely highlights. And last, we got the full-on 100% backlit. It's absolutely shining out. Be careful of those smears on the plate, but if you get it right, it can look absolutely lovely. Well, thank you very much for listening and watching me these 2 events. It's been quite nerve-wracking. I just want to thank my daughter Rosie for being on the controls on the computer, make sure it all works. Thank you for those that have donated already. It is absolutely amazing that people have given me lots of support and lots of encouragement. It's been absolutely fantastic. If you can donate, we are getting donations for the Trussell Trust UK Food Banks charity. The Just Giving page is on my YouTube page and on my food photography training website. And what I need to say is thank you so much. And please, if you can watch these videos again if you want to review or have a look. And I really do hope that this morning's video and this event helps you in your work at home or wherever you are when photographing food. Thank you so much and goodbye.